Maybe you've wondered if there's a secret to speaking, doing a public speech. It's effective, engages your audience, and pulls them in. And actually there is. But I didn't know what that secret was. And it took a while trying to figure that out. I kept wondering, well, what is it about a motivational speech? You know, a speech that really gets you going, gets you excited, gets you interested. What makes that motivational speech work? What is the secret of a motivational speech? And I didn't know. So I started taking a look at books and studying things, and I got a little closer to it, and it started to become a little bit clearer about what it was, but I wasn't quite getting it. So finally I had to go to my friend Bob, who's a professional speaker. Tallish guy, blonde hair, just been in the business for a long time. I said, Bob, what is it that makes a good motivational speech? And Bob said to me something that I'll never forget, because it just transformed the way that I looked at speaking. It just opened things up in a whole new way. And I hadn't really thought about that before. So Tim, a speech is broken down into 4 acts. So Bob, what are you talking about? A speech is broken down into 4 acts. What are you talking about? Acts? That's for a play, not for a speech. He says, no, Tim, there are 4 acts in a speech. And once you understand those 4 acts, you'll be able to create a speech easily and effectively anytime with very little preparation. Wow, that's incredible, Bob. Tell me, what are the 4 acts? And Bob told me. And today, I'm going to tell you. And you'll learn the things that Bob talked about. 4 acts for speaking. An act stands for ACTS. ACTS. Those are the things that matter. And once you understand ACTS and how that works, it'll just transform your speaking. This will become a lot simpler, a lot easier to have effective speaking. And you'll very quickly understand what's left out. Maybe you've been giving speeches that are CTS, there's no A in them. Or maybe you've given speeches that are ACS, there's no T in them. Have you given speech that's ACT with no S? Leave any part of those 4 out, and you've got an incomplete speech. And you won't know what's incomplete about it or how it's incomplete. We'll just get the sense that there's something missing there. There really should be something more to that speech, and it's just not. It's not there. I don't know what the heck it is, but it's not there. Well, after today, you'll know what's not there. And once you start doing it, once you understand how the 4 acts of a speech work, you'll easily be able to create a motivational speech with very little lead time. You'll create effective motivational speeches that engage, interest, and pull your audience in. You discover how simple it is in motivational speeches, provided you're approaching them the right way. And you'll be able to do motivational speeches anytime, anywhere, anyhow, any when, and get the effects that you want to have. So now, you're going to learn about the first of the 4 acts of the speech. The first of the 4 acts is A. A. And A is something that your speech has to have from the very beginning. Because without it, the audience isn't really going to get it. And maybe you've seen speeches like this. They just don't have, there's something missing at the very beginning. You're thinking, there's something missing here. I don't know what it is, but I just find it hard to pay attention to, hard to focus in on it. It's just not, it's not grabbing me. It's not pulling. There's something not there. And that's what happens when you have a speech that's missing A. A is very important. Right at the very beginning. Because once you have that A in your speech, then things become a lot simpler. And A is for attention. Attention. You want to get the audience attention right away. Bam, just like that. Get the audience's attention. It's really, really important. Because once you have the audience's attention, then they start to pay attention. Make sense? Yeah. You got your attention, you pay attention. And if someone captures your attention right from the beginning, don't you tend to focus a little bit longer on what they're saying? You're thinking, well, I got their attention at the beginning. There's got to be something there. I want to make sure that I get what I want to get out of this. So you capture their attention, and that's magical, that's powerful. And a simple way to capture the audience's attention is to use the you. Use the you. That just means the word Y-O-U. As you may have noticed, throughout this entire speech, I've been using the you. The word you has been coming up over and over again because the speech is not about me. It's not about my experiences. It's not about me up here. It's about you. It's about your experience in the audience, what you're doing, what you're about, what you're thinking, what you're feeling. That's what it's about. That's why speakers speak, for the benefit of you. Now, some speakers go up there and they go on and on about themselves and all that sort of thing. And if they're charismatic, that is, if they're interesting, if they're like a Bill Clinton, can get away with it. They can talk all about it. Say, hey, here I'm talking about myself and going on and on and on. It's exciting and interesting, and that's the way it works for me. Great. Hey, do it. But for most speakers, it's a disaster. Most speakers, the audience thinks, this guy's been rattling on and on about themselves, nothing about what is in it for me. Why am I paying attention? And pretty soon, they aren't. And you'll notice that the PDAs start to come out, the eyes start to wander, and pretty soon you know that you have lost that audience. But if you keep their attention by using the you, and even if you're talking about yourself, step it out and say, hey, have you ever felt like that? Have you ever thought that? Has that ever gone through your head? Asking questions at the beginning, all these things about using the you to effectively pull in and engage and interest the audience. That's powerful. And that will go a long way in your speaking. So it's about attention, getting the audience's attention at the beginning and throughout the speech, but especially at the beginning. The first A in ACTS is about getting the audience's attention. Now once you have the attention, they're interested in what you're talking about, then you have to move on to the C in your 4 acts. And the C of the 4 acts is really where the rubber meets the road. You may have heard that expression before, where the rubber meets the road. It means the place where everything really comes together in your speech. You get the audience's attention, but after you have their attention, there has to be something you get their attention for. And that's where C comes in. The C part of your speech. And the good news is that the C part of your speech should be the part of your speech you're most excited about, you're most interested in, you most really want to have happen. Get involved in. That C part of your speech. Because the C part of your speech is simply your content. Your content. Your content is simply everything about your message and the message itself. So the message of your speech, everything about the message, all that stuff, that's your content. That's your content. So once you get their attention, you have to have content. It's like, okay, I got your attention, but I'm getting to say, that's no good. There's got to be content. There's got to be something there in your speech. But the good news, it's very easy to get content if you'll do one simple thing. Find your passion. Find your passion. You find your passion, you find your speech. Find your passion, find your speech. If you find what you're passionate about, what you're excited about, what you're really, really interested in, then content is easy. Just imagine you're at a party. People are talking about different sorts of things. Like any party, you're wandering around from place to place, trying to find something interesting going on. And as everything's kind of boring, all of a sudden somebody says something, and you think, wow, I know something about that. And then you think a little bit more, and you think, not only do I know something about that, I like to talk about that. I enjoy talking about that. That excites me. That gets me going. You found your passion? Just think of all the parties you've been to, and some subject, whatever it is, comes up, and you start talking. And going on and talking. And people come and go around you, and you're still talking about it. And if this person doesn't want to talk about it, you'll wander around the party, you can find somebody else you can talk to about it. And if they wander off, you keep on going around the party looking for somebody you can talk about that subject that just came up, because you love it. You love talking about it. And even when the party's winding down, you're going to follow people out to their cars, because you can still talk about that great subject you love. That's your passion. That's your passion. Find your passion, find your speech. If you want to have content, something to talk about in your speech, just find what you're really excited about, really interested in. It's that simple. Because once you find something you're really interested in, really excited about, then that's it. You're there. That's your speech. That's the heart of your speech. That's the whole thing's about. It's why you get up on stage in the first place and say things. It's why you create a video in the first place to talk about this stuff. Because it's something you care about. Find your passion, find your speech. You care about it, you're interested in it, you're going to talk about it. That's right, you're almost there. You got their attention. You got content you're excited about, passionate about, really interested in. The next thing to come is the T. The T of the 4 acts. And T is what a lot of speakers leave out. A lot of speakers leave out the T in their speech. They'll get the audience's attention, they'll have some content, and all of a sudden the audience is thinking, okay, great, we got this content, but I'm looking for something more. They're looking for that T, by the way. And the content keeps coming, but they don't get that T, and that's it. They think, well, this could have been an interesting speech, but there's nothing there. One great poet said, there's no there. And that's what happens when the audience doesn't get T. They don't get T, not happening, and they think, okay, didn't get any T, so I'm going to be on my way. And T is simply technique. Technique. T is technique. And technique is the how-to. The how-to. In other words, you're talking about all this content, all this important message, and all these things about the message. Some story or something that went on, and all of a sudden it feels, okay, yeah, great, fantastic, but how do I do that? You're talking about transforming your life and picking yourself back up and overcoming difficulties. Okay, great. How do I do that? What's the how-to? That how-to is your technique. If you have a speech with a lot of content you're really passionate about and excited about, but you don't have a technique for achieving that, then you need to figure out a technique. I mean, it's okay to say, hey, you could get $1 million, you know, it could be really happening for you. Wouldn't it be great to be $1 million? So exciting, so wonderful, and that's your content, talking about how you can be a millionaire. Fantastic, great. But you have no technique on how to do it, how to actually become a millionaire? Not too useful. Well, sure, anybody can dream about becoming a millionaire. Without a technique to make it happen, without the how-to, got nothing. And they're wasting their time listening to you. Instead of you babbling about, oh, hey, gee, think about being a millionaire. They go to somebody else and says, here's how you do it. I've got the how-to make you a millionaire. Never forget the how-to. Never forget the technique. And quite often that'll separate a good speech from a great speech, and a good speaker from a great speaker. People will walk out of there thinking either, woof, there's an hour I'll never get back again. The guy went on and on and on about all this, you can do it type of thing, but I don't know how to do it. Or they walk out of your speech thinking, whoa, this guy had a lot of great exciting stuff. I got so fired up, so pumped up, but when I left, I knew what to do. I knew how to take that next step. I knew how to make that happen in my life because I had that technique. I had the how-to. I had the how-to make sure that it happened in my life. Technique. It's a simple thing to forget, but very important to remember. Well, now maybe you're thinking, Tim, I got the attention, I got the content, I got a technique, I'm ready to go, right? This is it. Not yet. Even with attention, content, and technique, there's one thing missing. And it's very important. And it's left out of a lot of speeches. And that is the S in the 4 acts. And even if you have your act together, you got attention, content, technique, you're still not done. You're still not done because there's one more thing left, and that's the S in the 4 acts of a good motivational speech. Quite often it's left out. And what happens is people go through the speech and they think, okay, I got it, I got my attention, great, good content, love the technique. All right, nice speech, fantastic. They get the applause, you get a standing ovation, it's wonderful. And then they go away and nothing. Nothing. Nothing happens because the S is missing. Nothing happens. They just go through and say, hey, great speech, fantastic, and then nothing changes in life, nothing's made any different, they never use the technique, all because the S is missing. And the S, quite simply, is selling. Selling. Now, about now, you might be thinking, Tim, wait a minute, what's the big deal? I mean, you got their attention, you got the content, you got the technique, so they know what to do. Why do you have to sell them? Why do you have to push them into this sort of stuff? Because if you don't sell it, they don't do it. Really, if you don't sell it, they don't do it. Because even if you've got a great attention getter, wonderful content, great technique, if you don't sell it at the end, they're just thinking, oh yeah, I can do that. I'll do it later. Sometime later. Yeah, I'll do that down the road. Yeah, that's a good idea, but maybe I'll do it. Maybe it'll happen. Because they've got no idea why now. Why do it now? Even if you're clear about what the next step is, if they don't know why it's important to do it now, it's not going to happen. So that's where selling comes in. Selling. And the simplest way to sell is simply using future vision. Future vision. Now, by future vision, I don't mean, you're going to take some sort of a time machine and go in the future. I don't mean putting on special 3D glasses that do, or 4D glasses that take you into some sort of time dimension. Not what I mean by future vision at all. Future vision is simply you take the audience and you put them in the future and show them the vision of what is possible. So for that millionaire audience, you got, hey, let's say you got their attention. Great, you can have $1 million. Hey, $1 million feel pretty good, right? Here's a technique for $1 million. Then you finish it off by giving the future vision. And once you have that $1 million, you will have everlasting comfort. You will be absolutely comfort and assured. You'll be able to take time off. You've never been able to take time off before. You can either keep your job that you have right now and have some extra money coming in, or rather a lot. No pressure on the job then, because you've got millions of dollars coming in. Or if you want to completely scrap that and just decide you're going to go and have those millions of dollars and you're just going to have those millions of dollars yourself, that's fine too. People are going to look at you differently. They're going to stand up and going to respect you because you've got this $1 million thing. It's not a big deal once you understand the process step by step and use these important techniques. And your life will be transformed. The pressure will be taken off you. It'll be much easier, simpler to get things done. That's selling. You put them into that, give them that future vision, show that vision coming out in their life, and show how much better their life is going to be. That's the S of selling. Giving a motivational speech may seem like a big deal. And it can be, if you don't know about the 4 acts. There are 4 acts of a speech. Once you understand those 4 acts, everything is much simpler, easier, and simpler. And the first is A, attention. Get your audience attention right from the very beginning. Get their attention. Get them out of those PDAs. Get them stop taking a look at that phone. Just get your audience's attention. And it's a very simple way to do that is use the you. Use the word you. It's powerful to draw them in. It'll perk their ears and say, wow, you're talking to me? Fantastic. Great. I know I'm involved right from the beginning. Simple way to get their attention. Use the you. Use the word you wherever you can. Even if you're talking about yourself, step out, involve the audience, find some way to bring the audience in with the word you, because that'll really help connect you to the audience. After you get the A of attention, then comes C of content. Content. Your speech is about something, and that's content. That's the message and everything around that message. And if you wonder what the content should be, it's very simple. Find your passion, find your speech. Find your passion, find your speech. Whatever you're passionate about, you're excited about talking about, that's what you should talk about. Whatever you're excited and passionate talking about, that's what you should talk about. It's that simple. And if you're wondering, gee, Tim, what is my passion? It's real simple. Just picture yourself going back to a party, or picture yourself at a party. If you're going from boring conversation to boring conversation, somebody's going to stop. And you hear something. Wow, I want to talk about that. And you start talking about it. It becomes great and exciting. It gets you going. That's what you give a speech about. That's your passion. That's the thing that excites you, the thing that interests you, the things that get you excited, get you going, get you revved up in life. That's content. Very important. Find your passion, find your speech. Find your passion, find your speech. But even if you're talking about what you're passionate about, make sure you have T. Make sure there's T in your speech, and that is the technique. The technique. And the technique is the how-to. The how-to. It's great talking about all these sort of things like I want to become a millionaire, fantastic, but there has to be a technique. How are you going to do it? It's not just enough to say, man, it was just wonderful and great, and I've got $1 million, it's a wonderful life, and I recommend it to everybody. You say, wait a minute, what's the technique? So even if you got a great story about millionaires and being poor and rags to riches and these things, you have to have a technique to back it up. How did you make that happen? What's a technique that the audience can use to make it happen for them also? T for technique. And then many people stop there. Many speakers stop there. Because of that, audiences hear it, they applaud, and they never use what you're talking about. Never. They just drop off. Your whole speech is just like gone. It's like you didn't even bother to say anything. And that's because you didn't have selling. Selling is very important. You have to sell the audience on what you're talking about. And a simple way to sell is future vision. Simply talk to your audience as if they were doing the things you're suggesting. Put your audience into that story. Put your audience into the result and show how much better their lives are. Show how much just their life will improve more. Show how they'll feel better. Show how they'll be noticed more. Show how they're going to have a simple process they can work their way through. It'll transform their life and open up all their awareness. And once they start doing the things you're talking about, wow, everything will be so much better. That's selling. And when you sell successfully, then bam, people start not only using your speech once, they use it again and again and again. Because every time I think, gee, should I do this or not? I say, well, Tim talked about all these great benefits, so that's what I got to do. There they are, the 4 acts. But as you know, nothing happens unless you use them. So go out. Give your speeches. Make sure you get the audience's attention. Have good content you're passionate about. Have a technique so people know how to do something and sell things at the end. Give them the future vision. Put your audience in the picture. When you do that, you will look out as you're giving that speech, and you'll notice people nodding their head in agreement. You notice people leaning forward and getting more interested. You notice eyes, people starting to tear because they're so pulled into your speech. It's such a part of their life. You'll powerfully transform your audience. You'll powerfully transform lives. And don't be surprised if days, months, weeks, years after you hear somebody come up to you and said, you know, that speech you gave 2 years ago, I still remember. Because it was so powerful, it was so moving, and I'm still using today the techniques you talked about then. Use the 4 acts and transform and open up your speeches.